In 2000, the cabin that was here burnt down, and ever since then there have been plans to build another cabin.
It was lost to a fire caused by misdisposed wood fire ashes, and since that point the homestead has sort of been operating over capacity.
05, 06 was when the plans for Cabin Phoenix were made during the Homestead seminar.
This purpose was to decide if this is something we want to do. Do we want to build another cabin? And if so, to design that cabin and put into place the steps necessary to build it. And we had that class and we came to the decision to build an Earthship style.
They really liked this idea that was coming out of the Southwest, called the Earthship, and they liked the idea of just using basic materials that were local and weren't being used and most likely would end up in a landfill.
That fit into their idea of being ecologically minded, using materials from a waste stream instead of materials that were produced commercially.
The main U-shaped wall that creates the back and the sides a little bit is created entirely out of recycled tires that have been discarded. So then you pound those, you sledgehammer like 300 pounds of dirt in, like it just kind of like inflates and it becomes this giant brick. So then you stack them, you reinforce them with rebar, and that's like that's the bulk of the building right now.
And I've also done some can walling, which is where you're making a cement wall, but instead of filling the whole wall with cement, you put some cans as like an airspace, and it means that you're using less cement, which is a good thing because it's not a very sustainable resource.
So what we're working on now is working on the framing in front, which includes like some skylights and greenhouse windows and the greenhouse itself, not just the windows. So that's the main part of what this summer's work will be.
We've been really good about getting salvaged wood and wood from the area, and so that cuts down cost, and we're reusing stuff, so it fits in with the fundamental premise of the building.
The basic idea of this building here is you're kind of tapping into two aspects. You're tapping into this 55-degree constant temperature that you have below frost line, and then they're coupling that with this greenhouse, which will heat with passive solar. So in the summer, you're relying on this 55-degree temperature wall to kind of radiate in some comfort. In the winter, you're relying on that greenhouse to generate some heat.
Every bit of it was done by hand, so it's all a lot of work, a lot of planning, and getting things moving.
Here at the Homestead, we try to let the students have a little bit more of a say of what's going on, kind of design or lead the project and come up with the ideas. A lot of it I'm just kind of checking along the way to make sure that we do the things that we need to do to make sure it is a code-compliant building.
There's always the option to just come in here like any other university project and just build it all out of subcontractors, not involve the students at all. But the whole idea of the Homestead is to offer the students an experiential learning process.
They're already starting to talk about interior, which is exciting because, you know, then you start thinking of it as a building with an interior instead of just this place you keep working on.
It's kind of a learning experience for all of us as we work through some of the projects out here. So they're a little different than what you might typically find in a major building or a house, so it makes it kind of fun.
There hasn't been a whole lot of investment in really rethinking how sustainability is going to emerge as a academic field or as a commercial field, and I think this is an opportunity for that to start to happen.
I also see it becoming more involved and more public just with the local and regional communities as we see a move towards overall green living or a more sustainable mindfulness.
The Homestead is sort of this like example that people are starting to turn to more and more, and I think that excitement will just continue to grow, and it will give the Homestead even more potential to change and become more sustainable and more efficient.
Each incoming class, especially this year's first year class, has been so enthusiastic about the Homestead. Even if they're not interested in living out here, which a lot of them are, they have a presence and they really take over the place when they're out here, which is good because A strong first-year class means that eventually there'll be a strong upper class out here.
Denison is a really interesting model for a lot of other schools. The fact that it's been around since 1977 and has survived and thrived, I think, is incredible. So I think the kinds of lessons that the Homestead has to teach only become more important.